What's going on, peeps? We're here again. Next episode of Lace 'em Up SO Podcast 8. We're here with our guy, Lionel, myself, it's Mio, and CEO. Introduce yourself.
Mr. CEO is your boy, man. Let's get it. Let's get it. We got a good guest today. We got Lionel on the show. L Mac goes by a few different names. You guys might know him as Mr. High Top. We can't see it right now due to the hat.
It's under wraps right now, so
That's what's up. So Lionel, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. Both of you. Thanks for having me on. I know podcast world is kind of like a family, so you kind of talk about one podcast and you're on somebody else's. And I know I was already on a couple different podcasts. Over the last little while, I actually was on the Channel 8 podcast a couple months back with Sean Go, and that was pretty cool. We kind of did. I was on his, he was on mine. So maybe we get down to the road in September or something like that, and you guys appear on mine. So
Definitely. Yeah, man, let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, I've been tuning into your podcast. It's good, man. I like it.
Thank you.
Some good content, so I do like it, man. I seen the last one where you gave me the shout out. Thank you very much for that. Always appreciated.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, man. So let's jump into these questions because the audience pretty much want to know what this guy is about, right? I've known Lionel for a while now, and what I've noticed about him is his love for music. So let's get into this music thing because I believe you have a high IQ when it comes to real hip hop. Am I right?
For sure.
Yeah, I would like to believe so. Again, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I hip hop. I probably had a love for hip hop before I had a love for sneakers. So let that take you back. It takes me back to the '80s when I kind of really got involved in hip hop. It was Run DMC and LL Cool J kind of that really got me hooked on music, and it's been love ever since.
Definitely.
Sure.
That's what's up. All right. So the go ahead, Osh. Go ahead.
So I was gonna ask your top five DOA rotation for this week. What was this week's rotation?
So music wise, what I've been listening to, a lot of King's Disease 2. That is far and away the album that
Good album.
I've been running with a lot. And there's YKTV or the Lauryn Hill joint, Nobody, obviously EPMD 2. There's a couple songs near the end, Nas is Good, and a couple other ones that I've been listening to, but that's far and away been the album of choice. I keep going back to probably my favorite project from last year, Burden of Proof by Benny the Butcher. I'm a huge fan of Griselda, the whole squad. He's got a new album, which I've started kind of, I really don't even remember the title right now, but I've started dabble because I didn't realize it got released already. So I'm heavy on Benny. Benny is my favorite of the three. I know there's other members, but that would be my first and foremost. And then I recently just did an episode with a young lady that I met in Ottawa. She actually works at the Champ store in Rideau Center that was just recently opened. So she is sneakerhead. She's a hip hop artist. She's Aboriginal, or I wouldn't say Aboriginal. I would say indigenous. That's her kind of their descent. So obviously a lot of the things that are happening in the world, and obviously the what Canada has found. I've listened to a little bit of her music. Not really my thing, but definitely she has her own unique style, and those are pieces that I could appreciate. Definitely. And then I would tell I told you King's Disease 1, but I've been kind of going back and forth and kind of comparing 1 versus 2. So I probably would tell you that would be my 5 for the week.
Nice.
Okay. What do you like? What do you like, 1 or 2? Which one would you like overall?
Definitely 2.
Definitely.
Two
goes hard.
Has got me. Yeah.
Very slept on. I feel like it's slept on, but like very good album. I like the production. You know what I mean? Nas' selection was very good.
Hit Boy did it.
Yeah. I'm glad he worked with Hit Boy because he really hit.
Yeah.
So I'm driving today and I'm not a radio person, but I turn the radio on and I hear Nas and it sounds like an old school beat, old school rhyme. I hear Nas and then he's talking about some EPMD lines. Then I hear EPMD jump in on the track. I'm like, whoa, okay, let me hold up here.
Yeah.
EPMD was my era, man. That was who I rocked with.
For sure. That's big. So like yourself, Lionel, like I'm a big music guy myself. And back in the day, you know, I used to do a lot of downloading, you know, LimeWire and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. How many CDs do you think you have?
Can you see over my right shoulder?
Oh,
so all of that. There's 5 rows.
Yeah,
they're all still CDs from the 80s and the 90s. I haven't gotten rid of them. I don't buy CDs very often, but it's more of a keepsake, or it reminds me of the time of when I got it. I was before that. I wouldn't say I had that many cassette tapes, but I had a lot of cassette tapes. I had, you know, Redman's second album that was Red. I had the Purple tape. So a lot of those those keepsakes. It's something I just haven't got rid of. It's actually just been put into. Call it the this is kind of like the studio, or I call it on my podcast, I call it the dungeon. This is where the podcast generally is recorded. Crimes in Life. So this is kind of where I do my thing. And you know, we could have easily gotten rid of them. You can do everything digitally, but you know, I still have, like, my car has a CD player in it. So from time to time, I put in a CD, and I like to hear the CD sound because it's different than the digital sound. So definitely I would tell you a number. I think each of those hold about 200. So somewhere between 800 and 1,000, I still have.
Wow.
Nice, man. I got a couple boxes of my own, man.
Yeah, and this is like upstairs is strictly hop hop. There's probably soundtracks. I used to buy a lot of soundtracks back in the day because you find, you know, whether it was you know, you think of Sunset Park, Dangerous Park, Dangerous Minds. You think of you know, the Dave Chappelle, you know, movie that he did, the live one. That was that's definitely in the collection. New Jersey Drive. Like I used to buy all of them. Like, thing is, part of it was that one of my favorite duos, which is Mobb Deep, would always appear on these soundtracks. So it was like a song that was never on an album, so I had to have it. There was no downloading unless you cut it on, like, you know, CKLN, or you caught it on the Mastermind show. There was no way to get these songs. So when it popped up on a soundtrack, I would just buy the whole soundtrack and go, right?
Do you have any vinyl?
No, I never really became a vinyl person. I would tell you that I have, you know, probably a couple old vinyl records. Like, they're probably still at my parents' house, but if you've seen some of my podcasts that I've done in the living room when the family's not around, we have 4 that are framed. So Illmatic, Midnight Marauders, Low End Theory. So, and these are accepted commonality albums between me and my wife that we both love. That's why it gets hung. And Black Star. So there wouldn't be, if she didn't love all 4, and that's kind of what brought us together as a couple with music. Yeah. So if they were not mutually accepted, like if I love Wu-Tang and I wouldn't say she's the biggest Wu-Tang fan, wouldn't be hung up in the living room. So those 4 are mutually accepted, and they're hung. I kind of got them. Like, I got one for a birthday, and then another one for Christmas, and then the following year I got another one. And it's like, there's no way you can have Low End Theory and not have Midnight Marauders hung up in the same room, because they're both unique covers. So that was the 4, and I think we decided to stop at 4. I bought her a couple of vinyl records. Like, she loves Johnny Kemp. I know you know a couple of his joints, and then she loves Janet Jackson, like the Control days. So I end up finding, like, at some used record store, and it's like, we'll hang this up and frame it as well. So I think we probably have like 6 records in the house, but they're all like decoration. Like we have no record player or play them at all.
But those are classics, man. Those are pieces that if you bring anybody over, that's conversation piece for sure.
That is a conversation piece, yeah.
It's nice. Yep. All right. So let's get into, you mentioned earlier you have a podcast as well. So give us a name so we can post it up, and then let's talk about that.
Okay, so the podcast is called Sneaks, Rhymes, and Life, and it really captures two of my major passions. One would being hip hop, which that's where the rhymes part comes from. But sneakers, I've been probably a sneaker fan or a sneaker enthusiast or a sneakerhead for the last 25 plus years. So started, when I was in my teenage years. I was a big fan of Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders predominantly. And I got a chance the shoe that really started my collection was the Diamond Turf. And at that time I was just started going to university. And I played football for the University of Windsor, and that was kind of my training shoe. And I ever since then, it's whatever Deion did, I wanted to do. I wore the same number in university. I wore the same number when I played semi-pro ball at one point, and then I eventually started doing a retail gig, as many people know, and have seen me around the way. But kind of gave up the football dream professionally to stop chasing that. But I've always been, fascinated by Deion, and then it kind of led to other things. It was Deion, then it was Allen Iverson. Like I was a bigger Iverson fan than a Jordan fan. Like I was obsessed.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, yeah.
No, I was obsessed with Iverson. Like the only reason I love the Concord 11 is because Iverson wore it at Georgetown. Now I hate Georgetown because I'm a Syracuse fan, but I was obsessed to how that shoe looked like on him.
Right. So that guy came with style. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. He had the black ankle braces as well. Totally different.
Yeah. Okay. And then the lifestyle. So sneakers, rhyme, lifestyle, right? Definitely. Yeah.
So with the sneakers and then rhymes I've kind of talked about, but then life talks about whatever I want. Like that kind of is like my out. So I can talk about sports. It still fits in my podcast because it's relevant to probably one of the other two. There's political things that are happening. Hey, we got an election happening, and that's a whole nother thing. You can talk about vaccination or whatever, right? So that part kind of allows me to talk about any other topic. So I really try to stay in the lane of the two, and many times they bleed into one another because we know how hip hop and sneakers are literally connected at the hip. But sometimes I'd like to branch out because there's a hot topic happening, or Toronto's gone into another lockdown, and I feel like I need to speak to the people and say what's up.
Yeah. So how do you find your time to like host with your, your busy life, and like who's been your favorite person on the show?
So I would tell you it is complicated, to say the least. I have a family. I have obviously a job that takes up a ton of my time. So a lot of my podcasts are recorded like now. So it's, between the hours of 8:30 and 10:30. And that's kind of when I spend my time. As many people know, I have gotten a little help to kind of get started. So my wife did the artwork for my podcast. And then the intro, if you listen in on the audio version, was done by my brother-in-law, my wife's brother. So he's a rapper. He's put out a bunch of things. He's like well received in like Western Canada. He's been all over radio stations and stuff. So that's kind of how I got a little help. But other than that, like I'm a one man band. So I am the producer, I am the booking agent, I am the host. I do it all. So it's complicated. I have to plan way out in advance who I'm going to chase. I think about episodes that are relevant and a variety of other things. Like I'll tell you, like my podcast is probably planned. All the episodes are done for the next 3 weeks.
That's good.
Like that's so like I think you kind of run into like a creative portion sometimes that you just don't, the well is dry. You don't know what to talk about or what's out there. And I think even, I did stop my podcast for a week and I called it the end of season 1. I kind of knew that I needed to kind of take a second and reflect. And then I've recently started season 2, like a week later, and literally picked up but I've all of a sudden, like, these ideas are like now just in my head. And sometimes it even keep me up at night. It's like, oh, how am I going to capture this? Or how am I going to capture this? Whether it's, a certain and then it's my ideas, but then there's all the guests that I'm trying to get is a whole different piece on its own. And it's hard with people. And then you guys are probably feeling the same thing, like with guests and their schedules, and does it work? Like even you and I, the three of us today, it's like, oh, I need another hour. I got something happen. I need another hour, or we got to go to tomorrow. Unfortunately, we got it in the same day we were talking about. But it's a challenge. Like, I have people that I've been chasing for 6 months and they have not been on the podcast. They're still interested, but they haven't got on the podcast. So I think some of my favorite guests so far, obviously I have my best friend, Nick. Hopefully before his kid comes, number 2, we can get him on again. But we're on a couple episodes. We talked about him personally and just his love for sneakers and hip hop. But then we started to debate things. So we took like 2 albums that, a lot of people debate. We took Midnight Marauders and we took Low End Theory, and we started to compare, and we literally had a debate of which album was better. We chose not to agree, but I think we made some compelling arguments on what happened. So definitely he is one of my favorite guests, obviously, because he's my guy. And, it was a very interesting topic. So I think we were talking about, what do we debate next, or do we even do a debate? Maybe we just kind of share opinions on the same topic. Right. So that's one. I've had some really amazing young ladies on my podcast. I really made, because I started in the beginning or late in February, which kind of led into International Women's Month, really more so for the US. But so I really had a whole bunch of different ladies and perspectives. I had a young lady by the name of Devin Harvey that's a sneakerhead and really into fashion. I had this young lady named Amanda Ruler. She's actually like now the first coach to coach CIAU football in the fall. So she's got like 100,000 followers. I've been following her for like 5 years on just lifting and other stuff and fun stuff that she does. So she was awesome. I talked to quite a few people, including Ramona, that has their own business, but then I think I've gone into so many different pockets for different reasons. I end up landing a couple big interviews, like bigger than I thought I could land. And I think it's kind of, you keep shooting your shot and sometimes you're going to hit. Yes. So I had, from the golden era, I had 2 golden era MCs. I had OC, from digging in the crates crew. He was on my podcast, which was pretty awesome. People are going like, how the hell did you do that? And it's like, I talked to him and he just said yes. And then we talk, we still talk, like we trade now messages every once in a night while back and forth. And, I give him a flame emoji and he likes it. And then another guy, I didn't even know he was still making music, because him and his partner Tame One had a follow, but El Da Sensei from the Artifacts, that was a more recent one that I did probably about a month ago. Him and I just started talking. He was selling merch, and it's like, Artifacts, they still make stuff? I thought him and Tame hated each other. So it was like, we started going back and forth, and he was trying to sell me a shirt, and it's like, hey, how about my podcast? And it's just like, and it ultimately both happened like simultaneously. Like the shirt arrived, I put the shirt on, and say, okay, I got the shirt, and it's like, oh, okay, let's do the podcast. I would love to do it. And you kind of talking with the merch. And then he had like this meet and greet with one of the guys from DOS Effects, and that was a big thing. And then so I was able to like help promote that thing for him. So that was an amazing guest that I had. It's like, Lionel, how did you do that? Like, people just didn't get. And it's like, you have no idea how many people have ghosted me, like Reddit said
part of the
nothing.
Game, man. Yeah,
so
part of the game.
There's all the time. There's a lot of hit and miss when you talk about trying to book a guest, and it's an ongoing thing. there's a lot of L. It's like the sneakers app. There's a lot of L's, and there's not a lot of W's. But when you get a W, you feel kind of nice. So
yeah.
It does feel good. It does feel good. Man,
Cool.
those L's. I'm thinking about them constantly. People really don't know the hard work that really goes behind the scenes. When,
Yeah.
like you said, they may see you with this big guest, be like, yo, how did this guy get that? Or, oh, he must know somebody. No, man, it's actually the work that you're putting in that
Yeah.
pays off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So I agree with that. All right, let's jump into fashion. Something that I love.
Okay.
Okay, so waking up, what do you start with? You mentally think about the shoe, or you start putting on clothes and then shoes?
No, I kind of go back and forth all the time, but I would tell you as of late, it's been a lot about, okay, so I haven't worn this one in a while, or I haven't worn this one at all. Like I have a decent sized sneaker collection, so I really think about I need to get a wear on this. Like particularly I think about the nice weather, because it's like call it a moment in time. There's no thunderstorms, or it's going to be a clear day, and it's like, okay, so this is not going to get wet. There's no snow. I got to now get a couple wears in this summer on this shoe. So I start with the shoe, and then I start putting together the outfit, and I try to think of, like, if I've worn this before, then what's the combination I have in my closet that I haven't worn. I wear a lot of black, so whether it's an all black outfit or it's a shoe that just pops, or now I think this week is been a heavy Jordan 3 week. So I've kind of worn my 88s as of late. I thought about black cement 3s I haven't worn. I thought it's like, probably by the end of the week I'm gonna get to the JTH, because I still remember that I got a chance to meet them. So there is definitely it's a Jordan 3 week. That's what it feels like, and I'm probably just gonna run the table. I think I had a pair of Yeezys in the bag and they just never came out, and I had the Katrinas in the bag, and I did wore them, but then I flipped to another pair, and it's like, it's been a Jordan 3 week, 100%. I think I wore Air Max 90s infrareds on, I guess that would have been Sunday. And I probably haven't worn anything else other than Jordan 3s the rest of the week.
Don't let him fool you. He said he has a decent collection of sneakers. He has an extensive.
Yeah, I
don't know about that. I've seen some of these guys in Toronto. Like, I can't compare.
I've seen Flannel for a while. You've got some gems. You've got the key ones. So in the fashion world, because we all look up to someone in the fashion world. Who's your go-to? Who's your favorite person that you kind of look up to when it comes to fashion?
I don't know if I have a go-to per se. I think I look at a lot of different people, and then how do they wear their sneaker. Like, I think for a long time I looked at Fabulous. I think I also looked at,
he's one of the guys.
Yeah, like, because I came from, like, I was XX jerseys and a tall tee underneath, and obviously he's evolved and he's done some more high fashion stuff, but I don't need to wear, like, me personally, I don't need to wear the the Gucci or the Prada or anything like that, but I can take the look in, and what do I have in my closet that I can make it look like that. That's kind of what would be like, I look at Westbrook, I look at James Harden, because they do things differently. Devin Booker is a sharply dressed guy. Carmelo dresses really well, along with LeBron. So basketball is definitely, I think they have that kind of profile. Like, there's even like an Instagram account that just talks about, tunnel walk fits, I think is what it's called. And you can just see what guys wear on a night to night basis. Yeah. But I think without wearing the call it the big brands that these guys wear that cost hundreds or if not thousands of dollars, I take the look, but I think my spin on a lot of things, particularly as of late, is local brands. I'm wearing, it's hard to see because it's white, but it's like, this shirt is I'm just a kid from Scarborough. It's made by an Instagram account called Scarborough Spots. So, I had a couple associates that started their own clothing line. I found a way over the last couple of years to get a t-shirt from them. And I did in probably the early parts of my days, I've just probably ran out of different brands to talk about. But I think in probably the first 25 episodes, I talked about a local brand or a new brand that came. I wore a couple episodes. I wore 7 Days hoodie, Better Days. I had that as a piece that I had on. I found a couple amazing spots in the US that were making just like one of a kind t-shirts or whatever. I mentioned Mob Deep, and there's a couple Instagram accounts that have made their own reiterations. Beto Art is one that is local here in Toronto. He's been in, Foot Action's Capsule and a few other spots. Does a bunch of stuff online. So he does his own art, but he does it in like hip hop form. So he's done a Lauryn Hill shirt, he's done a Phife Dawg shirt, he's done a Biggie shirt. So I've worn lots of those over the, call it almost 70 episodes of my podcast, and just shout those guys out. And that's what I feel comfortable wearing, because that's more authentically me than, me dressing up in a $2,000 outfit before you even get to my shoes.
Right. No, I can agree too. I think I was along the same path where, I was in the zone of the Gucci's and Pradas and stuff like that. And when I really realized that, I was like, no, I am a brand, CEOs.
Yeah.
So I started wearing a lot of CEOs and made my shoes also do the talking, right? Because I walk the streets, and I kid you not, just like most people, I look at shoes first. So your outfit really doesn't mean much to me. I'm looking at your sneakers.
Yeah, the sneakers talk, man, right? They create a lot of conversation.
Yep,
definitely. So I guess we're talking sneakers now. So
let's do it.
All right, Lionel. So top 5, man. Top 5 sneakers.
Okay, that's
overall.
Such a loaded question. I think I would. I'll start with my number one. And again, my top 5 changes on a regular. The only one it is cemented in the top 5 would be Black Cement 4, otherwise known as Bread 4, depending on what area you came from. So that for me, that is, you've seen it probably multiple times on Instagram if you've followed me, is the GOAT sneaker for me. Like, I have a few pairs of those over since 99, and although my 99 pair is totally the midsole separated, and that was a sad day. That's definitely one. I would tell you White Cement 4 is probably second or third. Cause 4 would be probably third. Again, you can see the theme that I love 4s more than any other shoe. And then I probably would go, like, today I would tell you OG 95, and then probably kind of a toss up between OG Griffey, Griffey 1 Max, and then I would say Reebok Question with the red toe or the blue toe, kind of a toss up. I kind of flip back and forth. But so that would be, so you can see the era that heavily influenced me. Like, they haven't made a shoe that's topped any of those since the last shoe came out.
Those haven't been out in a while. Yeah.
They've done retros and stuff like that, but that's where kind of like there's no new technology that is moved me at all to say that shoe should be, Vapor Max or Ultra Boost or any like Yeezy. Sorry, it's just it's not even in the conversation for me.
Exactly.
At all.
Every single 4 you just mentioned, I love them. Growing up, that's what I was into. It's just sad now that the older you get, sometimes your body falls apart in different ways. And for me, my feet got wider, so I can no longer wear 4s.
Now wear them.
Oh, that's sad. That's sad.
Rub the toe. All right.
So I mean, we spoke about a small collection, but you mentioned some grails there, some back in the day shoes there. How many pairs do you have?
Don't have a number.
See, guys.
I don't count. I haven't counted in a long time.
Right.
I really couldn't tell you a number, honestly.
So let's say, have you thrown away shoes in the last year? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But as you threw out, did you bring back in something new?
No, not really, because I haven't bought.
Okay.
I really have like I haven't bought really a lot as of late. I've
Same.
really, I know what I like, and
Mhm.
that's what I've been wearing.
Right.
That is
And you know
kind of
what?
my.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think that's it. Like I think I know exactly what I like. So, I like Barclays, I like Griffey's, I like Pennies.
Yeah.
I can't lie. I love Jordan 1s. Band
Yeah.
1, I'm probably embarrassed that it's not in my top 5 as I just said it, but the flavor of this week, it's not in the top 5. I started wearing, I got a couple times I wore questions over the last month, and now it's kind of like it's on my radar again, where it probably sometimes falls off because it's not Nike or Jordan, right? So
Yeah. And I
and
like the
then
fact that you said you know what you like.
Yes.
yeah.
Because I just feel like, in this day and time, I see a lot of other sneakerheads or people just entering the game and they feel the need to have everything. And I know for my personal collection, I've gotten to the point where I have so much shoes. A lot of them I haven't even got around to wearing because I'm looking for the right outfit. And I'm at the point, where it's like, I know what I like. So there's certain things that I just skip on because I'm like, you know what? Don't need it, don't need it, don't need it. I think you get to that point in your life as a sneakerhead where you're like, I'm only gonna buy what's needed, not what's hype, pretty much, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree, man. As you get older, you get wiser. That's how I look at it.
Yep.
yeah,
Well, we
yeah.
hope we get old. We get wiser as we get
You
older.
get wiser, yeah.
Yep.
The sneaker
Sometimes you kind
collection
of
just
get
gets
caught
too
up in the
big.
tailwind, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. We don't have that much time left, but Lionel, want to say thank you. Appreciate you for being on the show. Please tell us your Instagram handle so we can put it out there for everybody that's listening.
All right. So I'll give you my personal one. It's L_MAC42. You can also find me at sneaks_rhymes_life_podcast. Those are the two that I really use. I have my own fitness one. I have I run a couple accounts for some other people, but so life on Instagram, when I go in, it's like I'm gone for like 2 hours because I'm just managing a lot. But for me and what I like to do, I like to manage, right? So it's one of those things that's just me. But I'll tell you that one of the, call it, the great phenomenons, and a lot of kids are on it right now just because of hype, but they don't get the story. Is the Nike Dunk, what's happened over the last, it was supposed to be last year because it was supposed to be the anniversary of the Dunk, but there's so many of the call it the OG colors. I know there's like, undefeated one, like
Yeah.
people don't get like the true history. Like all of these dunks were in 1985, they were all built for college teams. Like that's the history. And that's where my true love for that silhouette comes from. It's different than an Air Force. You probably can play, and I've actually played ball in a pair of dunks many moons ago. I don't think I would do it today. I would play something a little bit more comfortably. But I think the real history, so black and yellow, no, it's not a Wu-Tang dunk. It's an Iowa dunk. Like those are the colorway. White and orange was Syracuse. White and royal blue was Kentucky. White and red was St. John's. Gray and red was UNLV. Like people just don't know the history. We know the midnight navy and maize, like it's not blue and yellow, that's Michigan, and white and green is Michigan State. So that's the history of that shoe. And it was like the whole team wore it in like the 80s, and that is the true, call it the OG. And I used to have some great Nike ads behind it. And I see so many of these kids running around. It's like, oh, I just need a dunk because it looks cool. Or it's like, but sometimes I think I already done an episode and just kind of schooling the cats on this is what the dunk is, why it's important today, and what the history is, the lesson. There's some other good people on Instagram. I don't know if you've ever talked to Simply Kaya. She does kind of like this thing called Sneaker Facts, and it's like a 2 minute. 2 minutes, it's not even a reel, but she kind of gives you like the 5 facts about a shoe and why it's come out. And so she does, a young lady, she does a really good job. But I think that's the unique thing about these sneaker brands is that there's a story behind it, and unless you're willing to uncover the story, it becomes just hype. So
Yeah.
I would encourage all the listeners out there just to take some time and actually, why are you buying the sneaker? Like it means something. So take a step back and figure out what it means before you just start spending your money, because everyone tells you to wear it, or some celebrity is wearing it, and that's that, right? So
yeah, definitely. There's so much to touch on. There's so much to touch on when it comes to sneakers, fashion, and lifestyle. We definitely want to get you back, because I believe that we can also have an in-depth conversation about the resellers and why they're buying certain shoes. Just like you said, right? Know a little bit about the history of what it is you're buying, or what's the point of buying it. So it can go on and on.
Totally.
I think we got to hop on your podcast to have that conversation.
Oh, we can definitely have that conversation. We can definitely have that conversation.
Definitely. Well, thank you to our real OG.
Thank you for having me.
Because of age or the height, but literally because of all the knowledge that you possess, my brother. Thank you.
All right. Thank you
very
guys.
much, brother.
Much appreciated.
Take care. Man.
All right.
Definitely a good one, man. There's some knowledge in that, and we get to see a perspective of somebody else that's a little bit older than some of the young guys that we've already been showcasing.
Yeah. And I like his podcast. He had a really good podcast, man. Very knowledgeable. Very knowledgeable. I think it's good that we got him on, actually, being, the Foot Locker kind of, DM. So yeah. That's dope. That's dope.
Definitely. It would have been nice if we got a chance to take a look around that shoe room. You would have saw some real grails down there, I guarantee.
I know he has a lot of grails. You didn't want to mention like he has a lot of shoes, but I know he has a lot of shoes. I've been watching him for a while, and he's got some stuff, man.
Yeah. Definitely. He helped me. He helped me get one of my Jordan 1s when I was working there. He called me up. He's like, "Yo, I got this guy in New York. He can get these shoes for a certain price." I was like, "Yo, I'm on it." Sent him the money. Came in 1 week. Clean.
Got it done. He's good like that. He's good like that.
Yeah, man. But once again, my brother, have a good one. Have a blessed week until the next podcast.
All right, brother.